Today I'm going to show you how to make a resume using Word on a Mac from scratch. So you're going to have your blank Word document. The first thing you want to note when making a resume is to eliminate a lot of the white space, eliminate the wide margins. So we're going to click Format, we're going to hit this document button, and we are going to narrow the margins to a 0.2 from the top, bottom, left, and right. Once that's done, your cursor will be up here and we can start building out the resume. You are going to want to make sure to have a very structured, uniform style. So to start, we are going to include our contact information throughout the page. We will keep it very structured and try to have as much uniformity as we can. So starting on the top left, we are going to include your current address. In this middle column here, we are going to include your name, your cell phone number, or the best number for a potential employer to give you a call on, and your email address. On the right, we are going to include your permanent address. This could be your home address. If you're away at college, this will be your primary residence. So for the sake of this video, I'm going to write 2 Main Street. And what I like to do is over here on the right, put it to the right, text line to the right. In the center column, we're going to center the text. On the left line is already intact. I like to bold these headings. I like to make these a little bit smaller to draw less attention to it when a recruiter or a potential employer looks at your resume. That should be something of less relevance but findable. And the name is going to stand out. That's going to be at a 16. You're not going to want to include these grid lines, these table lines on your resume. So we're going to double click the table, we're going to hit borders and shading, and we're going to hit none. And it will look something like this. Next, we can get into the meat of the resume. What I like to start with typically is education. I like to put each subject header in all caps, and from there we're going to build a table, this time just with 2 columns. We are going to start with the name of the school. So for purposes of being in New York, let's do New York University. We will choose the business school. Let's say Stern School of Business. And our degree, Bachelor's of Science in Marketing. We are going to move this separator over to the right, and we will include the location, New York, and the months and years. So let's do the month, and let's do the years. We're going to want to make sure this is only on 2 lines, so drag that separator out a little bit further. We're not going to want to bold this, but we will want to align it to the right side. It will look something like this. Bolded, italicized name of school, and in regular print, your degree. That is simply the education section of the resume. Again, we're not going to want to include these table lines, so double click the table, borders and shading, none. But we do want to include this top line to separate each individual section. Makes it a little more visually appealing when a recruiter or HR personnel is looking at it. So there you have it. If we zoom in a little bit further, you'll see the invisible table lines, only including that top line. The next section I like to include is professional experience. Again, we are going to draw a table, 1 row by 2 columns. We're going to move this separator over here to the right, and we're going to put in the name of our company that we've worked at. Bolding the company name, we're going to italicize our position. So position, let's say for example purposes, sales representative. And a couple of bullets of what we did when we worked at that company in that role. So you want to make sure to keep these concise and to the point. You want to make sure to start with a strong action word. So something like covered the Northeast region of the US and serviced over 20 firms selling products across our distribution channels. Something along those lines that tells an employer, potential employer, what you did, including strong action word, including detail, including numbers of how many firms, dollar amounts that you can speak to, that you specifically contributed to your company within that role. I like to typically include 2 or 3 bullet points for each company, for each role that you've held. So the next bullet can be something like organized, budgeting, and resources through our sales channel to effectively increase the firm's productivity. And that's good. We'll keep it short and sweet. So 2 bullets. At that point, it's going to be company number 2, position number 2. This could be something, your first listing should be something that you presently or currently working in. You're going to want to write a line, place, month, year. If it's present, you can write present. Again, down here, this is going to be company number 2. Or it could be role number 2 of company number 1. And company number 2, you want to make sure position and a couple of bullet points describing what you did when you held that role. Again, keeping the right side chronologically ordered and structured all the same. And you're going to want to make sure to align this right place and month along with your role, reading from left to right. So it will look something like that. Now you're going to not want to include these table lines. You want to include the top line though under professional experience. So we're going to double click this table, click borders and shading. We're going to click none, and we're going to keep that top line to separate each section of your resume. So it will look something along the lines of this. As we continue to build out a resume, the next section I typically like to include is leadership. Again, all caps, bolding it. You're going to want to do the same structure as what we did above. You can draw a new table and type it out yourself, but I can copy and paste it for the sake of this video and for time. Here you're going to want to write organization number 1, organization number 2, and roles that you've held here. So how about board member? Or how about if you held a leadership role in a club that you were in? Treasurer. And a couple of bullet points, again a strong action word, including a quantitative description when you can, and including again the place and times, dates and years that you've held that role. The third section, or the fourth really, of the resume should be a section including some of your community involvement. And again, you're going to want to make sure to maintain the same structure of the resume as we did above. So you can copy and paste it, and this will be something like club number 1 and club number 2. Again, writing roles that you've held at these clubs, like mentor or volunteer. And a couple of bullet points describing what you did when you were a part of that organization. Now, the final section of your resume should be a section on your skills. If you don't have any skills, it is pretty easy nowadays to go out and certify yourself in Excel or certify yourself in Microsoft Word. But you do want to include some skills so a potential employer knows that you're not sitting around doing absolutely nothing with your time. So, skills. What do I mean by that? It could be anything as simple as Microsoft Word, PowerPoint, Excel, OneNote, SharePoint, a bunch of Microsoft Office tools. And bullet number 2 could be anything that you use in your daily life, like Salesforce or PeopleSoft or any CRM system that your current company uses, or any proprietary tools that your company has access to. Something like Morningstar, if you're abreast with what Morningstar has to offer. Things of that nature. Here I would eliminate any kind of hobbies or interests. I just think it is a waste of space. Only include that if you're trying to really fill this white space at the bottom here. But this section could be as far as skills or awards. If you were the class president, or if you held any honoree awards or recognized for academics, you can write this in here. And you can even structure it the same way as here. I like to keep it as simple as a couple of bullet points, listing out some of your awards, some of your acknowledgments. And for this, you don't really have to include dates and times, but you can be specific of what it exactly is. So this is your simple resume here. To zoom out, it will look something along the lines of this. And to show you a print preview, it will look something like this. Structured pretty uniformly. Each section, company's name listed in bold, your title italicized, and a couple of bullets describing what you did. Place and dates over here on the right corresponding to the times that you worked there or held that position. At the bottom, skills and awards. Keep it brief, keep it concise, and again, try to eliminate any white space. You can see we have some left here, but I'm sure your bullet points will be a little bit juicier than mine. But again, you don't want to be too wordy. Keep it concise and keep it brief. This is how you build a resume from scratch using a Mac and Word. Hope you enjoyed the video. Take a look at the bottom below the video to view our Spanish version. Thanks, everyone.